Welcome to the season finale of Future in Focus, a podcast on wealth and legacy planning. It's been a journey, from mindset to ownership, from protection to execution. And today we're celebrating where we've been, what we've learned, and the energy we're carrying into what's next. On this episode, you'll hear episodes from Derby Day, plus the strongest moments from our most powerful episode. Each one a building block in this season's blueprint. This isn't just a recap, it's a reminder. Wealth isn't just about strategy, it's about staying in motion. So let's get into it. We're going to kick things off where the podcast began, Derby Day. Now, if you were at the Derby Day networking mixer, you know it wasn't just about networking and fascinators. It was a powerful gathering of minds, moves, and momentum. Our first live wealth roundtable, and the energy was electric. So here are a few clips from that day, just to set the tone. So thank you so much for joining us today on Derby Day. We're live at the Oakley, and we're here with some of my beautiful friends, and we're going to talk about what wealth building means to them. So Angela, what is your number one wealth building tip for somebody coming up after you?
So one of the most important things that I did was establish a trust, because we're a blended family and I have multiple streams of income. So it was very important to me that if something were to happen to me, that my kids were going to be protected and it wasn't going to just go into the ether and be governed by the state of New Jersey. I wanted to be the one that was going to dictate how my legacy was handed off.
That is so important. So many people don't realize. They think like, oh, when I pass away, it'll just go to my husband or my children. It's not that simple. So I'm so glad you brought up the fact that it's a blended family and that you're intentionally planning. So thank you for that.
Dave and Kathy Vidal, we're mobile notaries, signing agents. We work with title companies, attorneys as part of the closing day process. For us, so Kathy and I, having come from corporate careers, accumulated assets, accumulated 401ks, IRAs, things like that. So a big wealth building kind of, tool for us. And since we don't have children of our own, we're like, hey, let's set up a will, get some instructions down, figure out, what happens to us, what's the next move. And just so that at that time, when our nieces and nephews, because they're going to be our benefactors, allows them a chance to know what we're looking for, allows us to accumulate, allows them to obviously receive what we've accumulated, and it really just helping them with a set of instructions. So there's no guesswork later on.
I love that. One thing I like to always advise my clients on is being intentional. And so that's exactly what you guys did, because you don't have children. It doesn't just sort of automatically flow. And you want to make sure that it's properly protected so that it doesn't go to the state. So I commend you guys. I admire you guys. I'm always like, I know this husband and wife duo, and they like each other. Like, I want to be like that when I grow up. So thank you guys so much. Thank you for coming. And I look forward to working with y'all.
My name is Constantina Mace. I am the CEO of Cotino's Public Affairs, and I just launched my business. I have over 15 years experience in political work, community organizing work, government affairs. I've worked with so many people throughout the state of New Jersey, as well as cross country. So for me, the key to political connections, it's all about relationships. Yeah. It's all about what are people, what are their concerns? What are their issues? What are they fighting for? What are they trying to do for themselves, for their business, for their family, for their own respective community that they come from? And somebody like me, I've been trained throughout the years by people experienced in community organizing work, in political work, how to connect to folks and fight for them or be with them in their fight. And that's something that I decided, you know what, now I'm going to launch my own business and do this type of work. So now I'm managing a couple of clients on the really key primary that's happening here in New Jersey on June 10th. You have the governor's race, you have the legislative races, you have a lot of key local races happening as well. So someone like me, this is what I do, but it's also what I love to connect. I feel it's a calling. Something over the years I've felt connected through my own spiritual growth, as well as just building out my experience, career, and learning from people who have been in this industry of politics, of community for so long. So I'm just taking what they know and I'm transforming it to how I can help others.
That's amazing. So one reason why I really wanted to talk to you is because I always try to reinforce to my clients relationships matter, right? Relationships can make the difference between you having a successful deal and your deal being stonewalled. So let's talk about how you can leverage those type of connections, right? To really build wealth in your communities. How would you advise a client to do something like that?
So I think three things I would focus on is if you want to build wealth in your community and build the relationships, you got to assess yourself first.
Yep.
Who do you know? Look at your own list, your own phone book, right? I say phone book is a little old school, but your own Rolodex of people you know. And then you build out your circle. You have your friends, your circle of family, then you have your business associates, you have people maybe you went to college with, maybe you went to school with. And then from there, you extend out to people who are key leaders in the community. Sitting down with somebody for 30 minutes, getting to know what's going on with them and what's going on with you is one way to build not just connectivity and build a deeper sense of the relationship, but it's also, well, maybe that person wants to invest in you.
Yeah.
Maybe that person wants to pitch an idea. And how do you bring people who have money to come to the table and have those discussions? But if you don't assess who you know and you don't ask, hey, let me sit and meet with you. Let me sit and tell you my idea. Or let me sit and let's figure out how we can grow together, whether that's financially, whether it's through community, or whether that's through issues we're trying to fight for. So those are some key things that I would tell a client initially, and then also work with them directly. Because if that client is trying to build an event, I would try to galvanize around that client. How do I expand who they know and bring in new people to the table so they can meet?
Oh, that is perfect. It's the perfect sort of explanation behind closed mouths do not get fed. So if you're quiet, if you're timid and you think you're going to build wealth that way, it's never going to happen. You've got to leverage the connections because otherwise, how are you going to get things done? So thank you, Constantina. Thank you. So we're here with Anna K. Little, one of my favorite real estate brokers. Anna K., introduce yourself to my audience.
Hi, everyone. So I'm here with the amazing and beautiful, phenomenal Antoinette Solomon. My name is Anna K. Samantha Little from Little Dream Team Realty. I am the broker of record in Randolph, New Jersey. We also own a staging company called Little McCoy Staging, construction, property management, interior design, and all things real estate. So
Yeah, Anna K is like a real estate powerhouse, okay? Like anything you need related to real estate, call Anna K. If she can't do it, she's going to be able to call somebody that can do it. But I want to talk about your transition from corporate to owning your own business because you're a lot like me. You know, we were making all this money in corporate America, but that wasn't enough. Something in you said, I need to go out on my own. So what exactly was that?
okay. So I was actually a branch manager at Wells Fargo Bank, and I did that for 9 years, loved it, was making six figures, everything was great. And then my branch shut down. And I said, oh my gosh, I don't have a job. I just got married. I just bought a house. Like, I'm going to need to be able to pay these bills. And so my mortgage broker said to me, why don't you do real estate? I said, I don't know anything about real estate. She said, well, you own a home. You're great in customer service. You're amazing in sales. Just launch out on your own. So I did it for the first year. I sucked. I did one rental. I made $300 and I was like, I'm going to need to find myself a 9-to-5 job. But then after that, something just sparked in me. And I just started making a lot of sales and changing a lot of people's lives. And I said, you know what? I can do this. Like, this can be a thing. And it's been a thing for the past 9 years. And I love it.
Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah, I totally identify with that, right? Like something in you was like, I can do this, right? Yeah. So let's talk about your daughter, right? Because you do have a young daughter. I'm sure you plan to kind of, maybe expand your family. So what does legacy look like for you? How are you trying to preserve the legacy for her?
Absolutely. So my daughter, she's 5. Her name is Ava. And she is already a part of the family business. She literally says when she sees my billboard, Mommy, look, it's a little team with big results. So she already knows. She knows how to do an open house. She knows how, oh, this is a living room and come this way. This is a dining room. This house has 4 bedrooms. Like, she is well trained. She knows her daddy does construction. And so she's like, listen, this is the family business and we're going to keep growing. And she's like, I can either build a house or I can sell it. We can do it all.
Look at her.
So she already knows. So I think what's important for me is for my daughter to know that there's no limitations. She
Yes.
can literally accomplish anything that she puts her mind to.
Yes, oh my God. So I just want people to understand it is not just about money, right? So one of the first episode of my podcast, we talk about mindset. That mindset shift plays a major role in transitioning from scarcity to strategy. If you really want to think long term and preserve wealth for your family, you have to change your mindset. So the fact that she's got this exposure, she already knows. Nobody will have to teach it to her. That is generational wealth right there. Thank you so much, Annika. I really appreciate it. All right. So we're here with Elaine Russell. Elaine, please introduce yourself.
Hi, my name is Elaine Russell. I'm in financial services with New York Life. I work with my clients to educate them on the importance of having their financial house in order and to make sure they're able to leave a legacy for their families and their loved ones.
That's amazing. So we're here talking about what is your number one wealth building tip for your clients?
I think my number one wealth building tip for my clients is that make sure that you have everything in order. Start off with the protection, making sure you have your life insurance. I'm tired of seeing GoFundMe, the fish fries when somebody passed away, suddenly. Make sure you take care of that. And the younger you are, the better you are because you're healthy, you're more insurable, and the price is so much affordable. So my suggestions, and if you can afford it, which most people don't realize, life insurance is not that expensive.
It's not.
So if you can afford it, that's one of the top priorities. You forget about going to the mall and buying them Gucci shoes. Think about getting some life insurance.
That is amazing. Thank you so much, Elaine. I really appreciate it. We're at the Derby event, and we aren't just here with old adults. We're here with somebody who is also very young and whose mother, Brittany Sanders, is a life insurance agent. So, Jarius, thank you for joining. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
My name is Jarius. I am a freshman, ninth grader at Piscataway High School. I'm 14 years old, going on 15, and yeah.
Wow, Jarius, I didn't realize you were a freshman. I think you were a little older. But, well, that's great. Thank you for joining me. So I know your mother beats it into your head about wealth building, generational wealth, all of these different things. So what does that look like in your family?
I would define wealth as two things in my family. Success, but not also just success. I would define it as a lifestyle. My mom we're obviously not the richest people in the world, but she always talks about wealth and always talks about finding ways to make money and how you can build generational wealth and how to leave that on for your future family or whatever. And I take that a lot into consideration with my decisions in life and especially getting older now and seeing okay, I got to make bigger decisions for myself and who I want to be as an adult. So something I really appreciate of my mom is teaching me how money works,
Yes.
teaching me how to spend my money, how to save my money, where the money goes, who is it going to, how is it going to benefit you in the long run, how is it going to benefit you in the short term. I probably couldn't tell you all the terms. I couldn't tell you everything. She tells me a lot of information, but the general sense is just making sure you know what's right and wrong with how to spend your money and how to create growth in what you have based off of any amount of what you have.
That's amazing, right? And that's why I wanted to talk to you because it's not just about money, right? It's also about exposure. And you're a kid and you've already been exposed to so much so that as you get older, you think about wealth differently, right? For me, it was just going to school and getting the education to eventually make money. But for you, it could look so much different because your mom has already set you up. So thank you so much for that. I really appreciate that. And thank you for joining me. Wow, those were amazing. You see what happens when strategy meets community. Something really does shift, and that day proved it. You could just feel people stepping into ownership in real time. To understand why this season even exists, we have to go back to the beginning, episode 1. And this podcast didn't just launch with, the traditional money talks, it launched with mindset. Because before you can build wealth, you have to believe you're capable of it. And that shift from scarcity to strategy is what opened the door for everything that followed. So let's take a listen to this clip. Scarcity is rooted in survival, but strategy is rooted in vision. And that mindset shift doesn't require a certain dollar amount. It requires discipline, exposure, and a decision to choose yourself. You can earn 6 figures and still be in survival mode. I know it because I was it. But what I changed is I changed my mindset and I started to understand what it meant to build wealth. And you can only start building wealth from a place of vision and clarity. Wow. And that mindset shift keeps echoing throughout this season because ownership isn't just a financial act, it's a mental one. So, once we set the foundation with the mindset shift, it's time to make a move, literally. And that's where episode 2 talks about. Episode 2 broke down real estate as a pathway to long-term wealth, and it hit home for so many of you. We talked strategy, creativity, entry points that don't require 6 figures in the bank. So listen to this moment that went viral across social media platforms where Shiana talks about how she purchased a home with just $3,000. If you got the money, if you got the 3 or 5 or 10 or 15, 20% down payment, and it makes sense for you financially, buy now because you can always refi.
Yeah, but you can. It's also programs out there to help you, especially if you're a first-time home buyer. I
So-
didn't touch on that, but I only came out of pocket $3,000.
Oh, well, let's talk about that. See, now that's what we're here for. We got to give the people the hustle.
So I used down payment assistance for that home that was on paper as a first-time home buyer.
Okay, that primary home you talked
primary
about.
home,
Okay,
yes.
all
I only
right.
came out of pocket $3,000.
Wow.
Mostly family. So it's things out there. You got to ask questions.
You got to ask questions. Yeah. I am still in awe of the conversation that I had with Shiana. She showed us that real estate isn't just about owning land. It's about planting seeds that can grow without you and that can really create wealth. I'm still shook. In episode 3, we shifted to business ownership. Entrepreneurship is the fastest path to wealth for a reason, but only if you build it to scale and build it to last. Episode 3's guest, Sarah Nurse, broke it down all the way. So let's listen to this really key important point that she realized very fast in her entrepreneurial journey.
So I decided, hey, you know what? I can open up a doggy daycare and a pet hotel on the outskirts of the neighborhood. I still have access to the neighborhood. It's not too far away from my first location. So I did that. And I opened up the second location within maybe 2 years after the first location. Now, how I did that, I used some of the money that I was making, but not all of it. And I tapped into actually investors.
Yep. Okay.
So another lesson, as much as possible, don't use your own money. If you can raise money, then definitely use other people's money.
We're going to have light bulbs go off in the middle of this episode to show Jem, make sure you're listening. Say that again.
Yeah, as much as possible. If you can use other people's money, use other people's money. Hold on to your own cash.
Amazing. You know what stuck with me about that clip is that Saren wasn't just worried about herself. She was worried about the longevity of her business. And if you listen to that episode, you'll hear that in every time something came up, she just was able to pivot. And that's really what entrepreneurship is about. It's about being able to pivot and dominate wherever you are so that you can take the ownership and really build wealth. Wow. I mean, please go back and listen to that episode. Now, episodes 4 and 5 were really cool because in episode 4, we talked about, financial steps to really building wealth. And then in episode 5, we talked about life insurance. These were the key episodes to really drive home the importance of protection. Because you can build it and you can have it, but how are you going to keep it and pass it down? That is the most important piece here. So we're going to listen to these two clips from Michael and Brittany as they break down the key points that they try to drive home for their clients.
Life insurance is not all that I do. I am a financial advisor, right? So a lot of times people come to me and ask for help with, growing their money and investing. Absolutely, I'm happy to help. I have to assess if you're in a position to do that comfortably financially, and that starts with your foundation. Your foundation includes: do you have emergency savings? Do you have life insurance to protect your income? Do you have disability insurance to protect your working income? Right? There's certain things. You have your will and estate documents in order. If your foundation is not solid, even I kind of go back to a house. If your foundation is sand, the building's not going to last.
Exactly.
Right? So you don't want to invest money and take risk if you don't have savings. And then, for example, you have to fix your car transmission and you're pulling out the market at the wrong time and losing way more than you should have. Right? So I kind of do holistic financial planning. I kind of assess, where are you in life? What's important to you? What are your goals? Personal and business will be a separate conversation. What do you already have in place? And then what kind of products or services do we have to help fill in those gaps?
So a big keyword that I use for a lot of my clients when it comes to wealth building period is diversification. And you have to diversify your investments. You should not be invested in just one particular thing.
Absolutely.
Before we take a step back into that is, what is your investment plan? What are you investing for? Are you investing for income right now? Are you investing for a long-term play where I'm looking for something to appreciate? Are you investing for, you want to make money right now today? There's different reasons and why, but you have to find your why for investing. And what I try to do is I try to tackle all those, right? So in my original real estate portfolio, I own a multifamily home. And I want to continue to buy more of those because that's going to be able to provide me with an immediate income today. When I buy a 2 or 3 family home, I have each of them rented out. The tenants will take care of the mortgage, and then on the back end, whatever's left over is in my pocket. That's a way to create income for myself right away. I'm also in the short-term rental business, which is an Airbnb space where we do rental arbitrages through short-term leases that we have with different apartment buildings in the state of New Jersey, and in particular in Essex and Union County. That's another way of creating income for myself right now, right away. But I'm also invested in the stock market, which is more of a long-term play. I don't need that money. I don't anticipate touching that money 40, 50 years from now. I want that to continue to grow to be able to pass down to my children. For me, it's about diversification and making sure that I have as many buckets as possible of money coming in, either short-term or long-term, to be able to accomplish those goals.
I am in disbelief. This is the stuff that people don't talk about until it's too late. These are the conversations that we are not having around our dinner table. And this podcast was meant to change that. It was meant to bring these concepts straight into your homes so that you can have these conversations with your parents, with your children, with your friends, so that we can change the faces of wealth, because we don't want them to always look like they historically have looked. And then we ended the season where nobody wants to go, but it affects everybody, and that is taxes. This episode made the IRS feel just a little less intimidating. Marta Shea did a great job of bringing up some key concepts to help save business owners on their taxes. But the key piece is you have to make sure you're checking in with your accountant. Take a listen to this clip where Marta Shea really drives home the importance of keeping in touch with your accountant throughout the year.
I made profit-wise X, Y, and Z. You should know that. If you don't know and you're going out the whole year running a business, having a lot of activity, not knowing how much money you made, and you're waiting for your accountant to tell you in February how much money you made, wrong. Incorrect.
Yeah.
You should be knowing that throughout the year.
Throughout
and
the
if you
year.
can't do it, if you can't handle it yourself, you need to be working with a professional.
So that's a great segue into my next question. As small business owners, when should we be engaging with accountants, bookkeepers, and those kinds of professionals?
I think anytime that you have a good like stopping point in your business, or like a transitional point in your business, and obviously at tax time, or also before the year ends. So like, let's just say you're starting a business. You're thinking about starting a business. You should be talking to your accountant. If you're thinking about applying for a loan, you should be talking to your accountant. Anything you should do that impacts your numbers, you probably should be informing your accountant so to make sure that you're moving accordingly and you're making the right decisions.
I'm still in disbelief at these conversations. Like, I'm just shaking from excitement at how amazing they were. Because Mardashay is showing us it's not about loopholes, it's about leverage, and it's about making sure that you are using your resources to the best of your ability to build wealth to pass down to your children. Guys, that is a wrap on season 1 of Future in Focus, a podcast on wealth and legacy planning. Now, we've laid the groundwork. We've talked about mindset shifts, ownership, protection, strategy, and now it's on you to take what resonated with you and turn it into action. Start exactly where you are. You've heard each of our, experts throughout the season tell you that there's no real formula to it. You just have to take the steps and get started. Choose one move. Make it intentional. And remember that wealth isn't built in silence or isolation. It's built in conversation, community, and structure. If this season gave you something, a new perspective, a next step, or the words to start a conversation, please share it here. Send the episode to a friend. Subscribe and leave a review. It helps others find this space. We'll be back in season 2, where we're going deeper into legacy, deeper into strategy, and deeper into what it really takes to build something that lasts. This is Future in Focus, a podcast on wealth and legacy planning, where strategy meets legacy. See you next season.